Alrighty, what's up everybody? Dan here, and this is For Your Mental Health Weekly, where we talk about mental health subjects that I've encountered or that you've experienced out there in the world as well. So thanks for coming back to the podcast, to the YouTube show, however you're taking in this material. I appreciate the support. I thank you for watching, listening, all that kind of stuff, so thank you again. So we've reached episode 6 of the series, and today we're going to talk about flying solo. So that's like doing things out in the world by yourself when you're not with a parent, or you're not with your friends, or you're not with like a significant other. You're on your own. You're doing things because you have to, or you want to, or you're just by yourself for some reason. Who knows? Yeah. So, for me, I've experienced a lot of times where I've done things by myself. I've grown up an only child, and didn't have a lot of family around. It's me and my mom for the longest time, so we really didn't have a lot of time where it was me and a bunch of other people. Like, I was pretty self-sufficient, I feel like. But you go into the out in the real world, and you have instances where you're meeting people for the first time, and you get into situations where maybe you get conversations you're not prepared for, or you get situations where you're not sure which direction it's going to go. So today I want to talk about dealing with that, dealing with going out on your own and dealing with people you've never met before, and just the experiences that go along with it. So for instance, I've worked at an escape room for the past couple of years, and I worked a lot of it by myself. So we did have people to help on the holidays, but for the most part, it was basically just me running the show. That certainly was nice in some ways, but in other ways, maybe not so great, because it's nice to have other people to bounce things off of, to work with, and to kind of help you along the way. And more recently, when I've been doing these food deliveries on a bike, I've had instances where I've encountered people that were somewhat unique, and in situations where I don't know if I was necessarily prepared for what was happening, or I don't know, I just didn't feel like I was expecting. Maybe I was surprised as to what sort of occurred when those instances occurred in front of me. So let me give you an example. This past Saturday night, I was delivering some food from a fast food restaurant. I walk in, go to pick it up, and there's this guy there that he's wearing his bandana over his face, so he's practicing good mask etiquette, which is great. I definitely encourage you to wear a mask. Absolutely do that. But he wasn't really social distancing per se. He was, I don't know, as soon as he saw me walk in, he got quite a bit up close and was looking me over. I think he was enjoying my bicycle outfit. I had my bike pants on with my bike shorts, my helmet. It was clear I was someone who biked a lot for whatever reason, and so he mentioned that he liked to get up, and we got to talking, and he just he seemed like a very intense individual. Like, you ever find those people that just are looking straight into your eyes, just deep into your soul, out of nowhere. That happens. People are just very intense sometimes, where you're not expecting that. You walk into a fast food restaurant and you expect to get your food and leave, right? That's the common experience for most people. But in this case, that's not really what happened. I walk in, and he's looking me dead in the eye and just talking about how he does meditation and yoga, and how he slept on the floor. He's eating food off the floor so that way he can balance the good with the bad when he's intaking life experiences. He was an interesting dude, for sure. And I wasn't really sure where that conversation was going to go. Is this guy a dangerous dude, or is he just a chill guy who is a little intense sometimes and looks you straight in the eye, and that's just something I'm not really used to. I don't know. I wasn't really sure on that one. But I tried to hold my ground. I tried to he was asking me how I was doing, and I'm like, well, how are you doing? What are you up to today? So, I didn't want him to walk all over me per se. I wanted to have a little, say in the matter of where the conversation was going. Because you get into conversations sometimes with people, and it just goes and goes and goes into their direction because they can't stop talking to you. that reminds me of another instance where I was doing another delivery, and there was a guy just sitting in a van outside of like a Taco Bell, and he saw I was wearing my Chicago Bears shorts, and he started talking about Chicago sports team stuff. Like as I was leaving, as I was unlocking my bike to leave, he just kept going on and on and on and on, and eventually I just had to bike away, and kind of just be like, hey, I gotta go by, and he would have kept talking for another 10 minutes. It was clear, and so it's. Yeah, it's really something being by yourself and going out into the world and experiencing these situations with people, because you just never know. You never know really what you're going to encounter, in the real world, in your daily life. But yeah, luckily, for that particular circumstance, the first dude I was talking about, he turned out to be, I guess, a little drunk, and I guess he was maybe just a little. Yeah, he was a little drunk, a little tipsy, and they maybe got a little bit of his inhibitions were loosened a bit, and I think he was just getting a bit more daring in what he was saying and how he was responding to things, and yeah, it was for me it was a little unnerving, I suppose, because I wasn't drunk, I was working, so I was totally sober, and I just I wasn't sure what this guy was gonna do, but we ended up just walking outside. He looked at my bike. He liked it. He said he bikes too, and it was all good. It was all good after that, and no harm, no foul, I suppose. But I just it was just a really weird sort of experience. Walking into this fast food restaurant, being accosted by this dude standing there, and not sure where it was gonna go from there. So it was a little unnerving, to be honest. Yeah, it was. But I thought I handled it well. And I thought he handled it well at the end when it was just a friendly, nice bike, and he walked off with his food. So, that luckily ended up okay. Another instance that actually happened that same night was when I was doing this other delivery that required an ID. So sometimes you make deliveries for alcoholic beverages, for instance, and you need an ID on pickup because you want to make sure you're not giving it to someone who's underage. That's illegal in the United States for sure, probably in other countries too. So I went and tried to deliver this alcohol to this person, and he didn't have an ID. Like he was drunk too, I'm pretty sure. And so he was just kind of fighting about it. It's like, I'm not going to tell anybody, and he's trying to make it seem like it wasn't a big deal. Well, it was a big deal to me. It's like I'm the person working, and this is my job at the moment. I don't want to get in trouble for giving you alcohol just because you really want it. You don't have an ID. No, you can't do that. I'm trying to play it safe because this is my livelihood going right here. I don't want to get in trouble with the law. I don't want to get arrested or put in jail or something. Like I looked it up later, and there's definitely some penalties if you're caught doing that. So I don't care if he didn't look like a minor. Like you never know. You really never know these days. So luckily there was a friend of his that came down that did have an ID that was of age, and so I was able to scan that in and give him the liquor, and everything was good. So that was a bit of an experience as well that same night. Where I'm just like, really? I gotta deal with these dudes, these drunk dudes. But that's part of life. That's part of that job. You're gonna deal with people out and about, even if you don't work at a delivery job, even if you're just going to clubs, if you're just going out having a good time, hanging out with your friends, trying to pick up ladies or pick up guys or whatever you're into, you're gonna run into people like this. And it's important to know kind of how to react to what's happening in front of you. Not everyone's going to be perfectly sober all the time, and you need to have your wits about you to really handle what they're throwing at you. I thought I handled those situations well. I was sort of unnerved by what was going on in front of me because of these people and the way they were kind of reacting to me. But that's just kind of what happens when you deal with drunks, I suppose. There's other instances where I'm sure people have dealt with even worse. Especially women out there, they get accosted by men. That happens, and that's almost like a self-defense thing. That's a whole other issue. But as a person who is solo in the world, whether you're man, woman, or otherwise, it is important to, know what's going on with your mental health, how it's making you feel. Like if you talk to this person, it's making you uncomfortable, maybe I should have gotten out of that conversation with the first dude. And the second one I couldn't really have avoided because, he was the customer. And so I had to talk to him. I had to converse. I had to make sure the situation was remedied. And so that made it, I think, extra difficult because of that. And so sometimes in your job, you're going to have to deal with those things where you're there. You're just there in that moment and you have to get through it. And, you're by yourself and, maybe you're trying to text a manager or you're trying to get someone to help you out and someone's busy. And, these things do occur, where it's not the perfect world all the time and you can't always get help right away. So, dealing with things on your own is a real strength. It's a tool that you can use that can really get you out of these sticky situations. Just to play it cool, just to go with the flow, and if things do feel uncomfortable, you have the right to leave. You have the right to walk away. You don't have to feel like you're sucked into everything and that you're subservient to someone else's wants and needs. That's not the case. In most situations, you can just stop for a moment and, take a step back, reassess what's going on, and understand that, what this person wants from you is not necessarily what you want from them, right? So, yeah, a lot of conversations can be really friendly, that from strangers, people who just meet out of nowhere on your own, but sometimes they can escalate to more than what you expected, and I think that certainly happened to me on that Saturday night. So, my advice would be to take each situation for what it is. Don't just apply something to every single situation, because there are some good people out there that aren't going to try to get something out of you or try to intimidate you in some way, or try to get you in trouble. Like, no. There's some really good people out there that you'd never find if you didn't go out there and put yourself in those social situations. That's certainly true. So, I would say just take every situation at face value, assess it for what it's worth. If you feel like you're uncomfortable, go ahead and leave. Go ahead and walk out the room. And if you can, if it's a business thing where it's part of your job, do the best you can with it. Like, people can be idiots. I'm afraid to say, but some people just don't have the respect for others, or they just don't know what they're talking about. I've been there many times to work customer service, and this is the case. For some people out there, and you just kind of have to, like I said, play it cool, stay calm, don't lose your composure as best you can. And once the situation has finally ended, you can kind of take a breath like that, and just be thankful that it didn't get any worse. So, with all that said, people who go out there flying solo, doing things on their own, more power to you. More power to you and to me for going out there and doing these things that maybe other people wouldn't do. That they always want to travel in packs and be part of the group. Why not be an individual? Why not be someone who goes out there on their own and does their own thing and, makes the best of it and makes some really great moments happen because you decided to try and be something like yourself. You know what I mean? So keep on doing that. Keep on being the individual that you are, and never let anybody tell you that you can't. So that would be my wish for you, to be you. So there you have it. That's episode number 6 of For Your Mental Health Weekly. So thank you so much for watching this episode, listening to this episode, and whatever kind of format you're digesting it on this, once again, October afternoon. It's getting even colder than it was last week, so it's almost time for it to really get quite chilly outside in the Chicagoland area. But hey, that's what you get when you live in the cold temperatures. You occasionally get cold temperatures. Totally makes sense. Totally does. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. And as always, follow your instincts and peace out from the show. Ja mata.